Hey guys, Brown's thoughts here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. I didn't expect to be, doing another one immediately a couple days, day or two after Sunday's loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a perfectly winnable game. You guys can go watch that. I appreciate all the Brown support, love, angst, whatever on this channel. It's really helped the growth of this channel. I didn't think the Cleveland Browns would really unite so many people to, come subscribe here. But Monday, Kevin Stefanski said something very, very interesting. And, I have to pull this up in front of me because I don't even think Kevin Stefanski believes this. Because, listen, so Kevin Stefanski, he says that basically, that more or less that Deshaun Watson gives the Cleveland Browns the best chance to win. He says, I think Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win, continues to give us the best chance to win, and we need to play really good football at his position and at every position to be successful. Okay. First of all, then he was asked by Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, longtime Cleveland Browns beat writer, whether there's any truth that Jimmy Haslam is forcing, and I've pushed this narrative a lot here on this channel, forcing him to play Deshaun Watson. And Kevin Stefanski said the following: we have a good dialogue, myself, Andrew Berry, the GM, ownership. Any decision when it comes to football is my decision. Okay. All right, so let's break this down here for a second. I don't believe that for 1 second. Kevin Stefanski is a smart guy. This reeks of job preservation. And on some level, this is going to start to look more and more bad on Kevin Stefanski's part. Like, at some point, you have got to step up for what is right, because either this is a classic tank, which I've seen many a times with the Browns, or this is the ownership has way too much pride to admit that they made a mistake. They're paying this guy $230 million fully guaranteed. We can't sit him down. That would just look horrendous. But when it is as clear as day that this guy, Deshaun Watson, is holding this team back, you can't in good faith go up in front of the media and basically say, hey, with a straight face, Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win. Now, a lot of theories are being thrown at as to why this transpired on Monday. Kevin Stefanski's media availability was delayed significantly. The players spoke first, which is out of the ordinary. It leads me to believe that there was a big-time meeting between ownership, Andrew Berry, and the Kevin Stefanski and the public relations team with the Cleveland Browns to narrow down everything that they needed to say in regards to this situation. Because Kevin Stefanski is not a dumbass, okay? Let's get real. He's not a dumbass. He knows this ain't working. They changed the offense for this guy. Every other quarterback that has come in there, even Jeff Driscoll has kind of worked marginally more than Deshaun Watson has. Like, this is the worst offense in the NFL. It's as bad as it was during 1-31. You can see it as clear as day. Everybody in the NFL, everybody on Twitter, every friend that I talk to about the Cleveland Browns knows that Deshaun Watson cannot play. He cannot play. So at what point do you just blow the whistle and basically just say, okay, we're done with this? Because why the hell is Jameis Winston there in the first place as a backup quarterback? Why didn't you bring back Joe Flacco? You're 1-5. You've got a bunch of divisional opponents. You can try to convince yourself that, hey, if we somehow go 6-0, we can come back and make our way into the division. I have no reason to believe that they beat any of these teams in this division the way they're playing offense. They can't get over 200 yards passing. They can't get over 20 points. Their only touchdown on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles with Rodney McLeod. By the way, Rodney McLeod, fun stat for y'all. Rodney McLeod, a defensive back for the Cleveland Browns, has as many touchdowns as any skill position offensive player. Like, I'm not counting Deshaun Watson. He has 5 touchdowns, but that's terrible. But Rodney McLeod has as many touchdowns as any offensive player on the Browns roster. He has 2. That's sad when a defensive player is tied for the team lead in touchdowns this season. That's depressing with 2. So it's just, man, I don't even know what to say, man. But what this comes down to, and the big reason that I need to hammer this home, is what this is going to leave the organization. It's in ruins, because now all of a sudden you're looking at what the future looks like for the Cleveland Browns. Because clearly Deshaun Watson is not the future. And I've already started to see trade rumors of, hey, trade Myles Garrett and add Deshaun Watson on. Or trade Deshaun Watson to a stupid franchise like Carolina and add a first-round pick on it, which would ultimately be a top 5 to 10 pick probably, because the Browns are awful this season. It could be number 1. That's where we are right now. Because Deshaun Watson's cap hit I think before June 1 of next year is somewhere over $100 million, which means you would have to cut so much money to get under the cap, because then you would have a dead cap hit number. I'm not going to get into cap statistics, and I'll leave that to Andrew Berry, because he's been able to manipulate that to, continue this window. But now that you don't have a quarterback that can play, it really complicates things. And now a great player, a transcendent player, one of the greatest ever outside of maybe Jim Brown and Myles Garrett, he's being wasted. Nick Chubb, who tore up his knee and is finally coming back, he's being wasted. Amari Cooper's a talented wide receiver. He's having one of his worst seasons ever, because I just think he's so disinterested from the trade rumors and because he doesn't have a quarterback who can get him the ball. You made a great trade for Jerry Jeudy, who's actually shown some bright spots. You've got Denzel Ward, a great defensive back. He just can't stay on the field. And all of this would be great if you would have paid the right quarterback. And why I am not willing to dismiss subpar play, even though he was, I think he only had 1 incompletion in the second half Deshaun Watson did against the Eagles. Great. You should be able to throw for over 250 and close to 300 yards in your fucking sleep. You don't need everything to be perfect. We had that problem with Baker Mayfield. That's the reason why the Browns moved off of him and went to go pursue a seemingly good quarterback like you, Deshaun Watson. So any of you Deshaun Watson truthers who still want to say that there is any hope in hell of this working, it's not. And I will go as far as to say this. I've been trying to resist this for the longest time. This is the worst move in the history of professional sports. It's the worst move in the history of professional sports. Given the ramifications, given what was given up, given what was paid to this guy, given the allegations that were already on the table that was going on, and given the level of play that this guy has shown in Deshaun Watson through 18 games as a Cleveland Brown, and seeing the guys that he was passed up for in Baker Mayfield finding success for himself in Tampa Bay, or Joe Flacco finding success for himself in Indianapolis. This is the worst trade and the worst move in the history of sports. And that is inarguable at this point. I have tried to fight it for so many weeks and months, but through 6 weeks of this season, and through 18 games as a starter for the Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson is statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. This is a historically bad start for him. And given the money invested, the picks out there, and then everything that we were supposed to, as Browns fans, to look past this, it's the worst move ever. And it's going to get a bunch of people fired. It's going to get the most accomplished head coach that this organization has seen in 25 years fired. Kevin Stefanski, because he is resisted. Because the minute that he resists this, he's going to get fired. And he's going to still get scapegoated for this at the end of the season, even though he's being told what to do. Andrew Berry's probably going to lose his job because his name's on that. And the only person that can be really blamed for all of this is the owner, and they can't fire him. So you know what? This organization is just hopeless. And as I said, this is the worst move ever, because somebody said, I forgot who said this, but this is about as crippling of a move to the Cleveland Browns organization in franchise history as moving the team to Baltimore. Somebody said that on the internet, and I thought it was a great take, because I don't know where this organization goes if you can't get out of that contract. And you've got guys in their prime. You've got Nick Chubb. You've got Denzel Ward. You've got Amari Cooper, who's going to probably leave after the season. Jerry Jeudy. You've got Myles Garrett. Like, you've got all of these guys in their prime, and this franchise was begging for a quarterback. And dare I say, we were having a lot of these same conversations about Baker Mayfield not playing well. It wasn't this bad. It just wasn't this bad. So please, for the love of God, if you are still trying to defend why the Cleveland Browns are starting this guy and want to blame it on line play or blame it on Kevin Stefanski and his play calling, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Everything goes back to the quarterback, because that is given less margin for error for this organization and for this team, and it's going to get a bunch of people fired. And then we will look back on this move. We're already looking back at it already 2 years into this thing. We'll look back on this 15, 20 years from now. This is going to stand the test of time as the worst move ever in professional sports. So that's my Browns thoughts for now. We'll hopefully have more later in the week. They play Cincinnati this week. Maybe something changes and we have a breaking Browns thoughts here, but I'm not optimistic. Good luck to everybody in drowning your sorrows, because this is going to be a long season for the Cleveland Browns. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. OT Mike Sports and Off the Mic 28 on Twitter. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.